Yo, what is up everyone? Jay here with another Fire Emblem Heroes reaction video to this year's child banner, baby banner, however you want to call it. And this year it is Tellius characters getting their baby versions. And it was expected, especially from the silhouettes, that it was going to be Tellius. And my guess, even before the silhouettes were announced, like I was thinking this year it would be Shadows of Valentia babies, because this year is the 30th anniversary of Gaiden, the 5-year anniversary of Shadows of Valentia, and Arcanea also got the first child banner on their 30th. So I was thinking, Shadows of Valentia had a good chance, but then I was reminded of a certain FEH comic that pretty much foreshadows all the baby banners, and this year it would be Tellius, because my boy Young Marth is on that comic, Young Ephraim obviously from last year, and Erica, and then now this year is baby Ike, who was also on the comic. So it pretty much confirmed from that comic. So I was reminded of that, but my guess was Shadows of Valentia. I'm not complaining or anything. I do like Tellius a lot. Tellius, I think, is one of the coolest Fire Emblem games, and I always have a soft spot for it because Radiant Dawn was my very first Fire Emblem game. But anyways, the first unit on the banner is baby Mia. So she's adorable as always, budding blade, and she's a sword infantry unit, just like her regular version, and I think everybody here is a sword infantry unit. So here she is, and she has a really good weapon and a pretty good kit. So Sharp War Sword gives her -1 cooldown, and if a skill compares unit speed to a foe or ally speed, treats the unit speed as granted +10. So basically she gets I think it's like phantom speed almost, right? Yeah, as if. Yeah, so as if means you're not actually getting speed +10, like physically you're not actually getting it, you're just getting it for the stat check. So for example, like wind sweep, you wouldn't be able to get wind swept as easily because you have that phantom speed. If you guys are familiar with the Sacred Seal, same thing with Phantom Res. So I think that's what the first part of weapon here does. And at the start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, she grants no follow-up and dodge to unit for 1 turn. So she gives that to herself. So basically 2 B skills in her weapon. And then if she initiates combat within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +5 to everything, just like, that's common for any kind of modern unit these days. So this weapon is very good, giving her phantom speed, -1 cooldown, no follow-up and dodge, and +5 to everything. So very simple, but very good. And she comes with Dragon Fang, pretty good special. I mean, you probably replace it with something else that's easier to trigger, but she does have Flashing Blade and the -1 cooldown. You can also give her Time's Pulse. She comes with Flashing Blade 4, which is fitting because her regular version had Flashing Blade 3. I think she was the first one of Flashing Blade 3 back then. So yeah, Flashing Blade 4 here. And then Speed, Defense, Tempo 3. So this is a new skill, and this skill is basically the Null Guard effect in a B skill, and also giving Speed, Defense, -3 debuff. So very powerful B skill for sure, and now we have more competition in the B skill more than ever. I mean, the B skill has always been competitive, but now you have this, but it's perfect for me especially because she already has no follow-up and dodge in her weapon. So she doesn't have to run that or sacrifice not running no follow-up in B, because she has it in her weapon, and she also has the speed-based damage reduction. And speed, defense, tempo just lets her stop crafty fighter, any kind of guard effects, stance skills, all that stuff, and also giving her some extra stats. So that's really good. Speed, defense, tempo is the first tempo skill, obviously, so we'll have to see the rest of the tempos get pushed out, but this is pretty good for sure. Yeah, so B skills are, I mean, they've always been crazy, like I said, but now we have another tool in our arsenal right here. So Mia comes with a really good B skill, and then she comes with Odd Tempest. So Mia is a very solid sword infantry unit, and definitely, I mean, we just had Ascendant Marita. I don't think she's better than Ascendant Marita, but she is still pretty good. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see how she fares. I can't really say how they are, because I always love to compare sword infantry units, because I have 2 of the best in the game, or some of the best in the game, Legendary Martha and Brave Martha at +10. So that natural instinct of me is just to compare, but we'll have to see, like I said, how Mia does. But she's definitely really good for sure. So that weapon is no joke, and that B skill is very nice. So that is baby Mia. So pretty nice ult for her, I guess. And here she is, just popping that Dragon Fang, gone. And the next unit is baby Soren. So he was in the silhouette. That ponytail pretty much gave it away, and it's really cute because Soren, at this point, they're all babies, and this is the beginning of Path of Radiance, so Soren couldn't really talk. He was kind of mute, so you don't really hear him say that many voice lines. And here he is. He's a colorless, actually, yeah, he's a colorless infantry mage, which is pretty good because we don't have many colorless mages. I mean, they're starting to pump it out more. So here's another one. And he comes with Adroit War Tome, gives him -1 cooldown. At the start of combat, if basically he's alive, he grants attack res +6 to himself. And then the following effects will happen based on the value of his res minus the foe's resistance. So another stat check kind of thing. So if his res minus the foe's res is equal equal to or greater than, greater than or equal to, sorry. Greater than or equal to 1, then he makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. If it's greater than or equal to 5, then if foe uses sword, lance, axe, bow, dagger, beast damage, foe cannot counterattack, so basically the wind sweep effect. And then if it's greater than or equal to 10, he reduces the percentage of non-special. So this part right here, the last part, is basically, I think it's similar or almost the same as Dual Lift's weapon, which is part of the reason which makes Dual Lift really good, because he can like have the damage reduction that people have. So it says right here, if they reduce damage by X, goes by 50%. So let's say the foe had to reduce damage by 45%, they would reduce it by 23. So he basically halves it. So that's really, really good on this kind of unit, especially because he's a colorless tome, so he has no weaknesses outside of Raven tomes, which aren't very common at all. So obviously he's not a Cavalier like Dual Lift, and he doesn't have the range, but he's definitely, he has the infantry power. So Soren here is pretty good. He's got a nice PRF, and this is pretty much the best Soren, because Soren fans have always been wanting a better alt. His default version's pretty bad. He was one of the first weapon refines, and then he has the Valentine's alt, which isn't the greatest. Obviously he doesn't have a PRF, so good win for Soren fans, because he's a very powerful character, of course, and this weapon is pretty good. So yeah, that is the Adroit War Tome. Comes with Iceberg, Mirror Impact to just abuse the fact that he has a res check in his weapon, so that's going to be really easy for him, and especially because he's probably going to have like 40 base res or something like that, something really high, or something in the late 30s. So yeah, and then he comes with Time's Pulse. So very simple kit, and yeah, honestly, they maybe not Time's Pulse, but if you didn't have a PRF, or they didn't make his PRF as strong, you could see him as a demote, maybe, but he is not. And the real demote of this banner is Ilyana. So I like Ilyana. She's cute. She has the whole hungry thing, hungry appetite, and we have a lot of hungry Fire Emblem characters, honestly. And Ilyana definitely is an adorable one. There she is with her little hood, and she's a green infantry mage this time. But I do like Ilyana, but I kind of wish this was Titania. Young Titania would have been really cool to see, because I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people aren't the biggest fans of baby versions, and I would have liked to see like one of the older characters becoming young, like a Prime Marcus or Prime Jagan. That would have been really cool. And same thing here, like a Prime Titania. But regardless, they wanted Ilyana, so here she is. Windy War Tome. This gives her res +3, and if the foe initiates combat, or if the foe is above or equal to 75%, inflicts attack res -6 debuff on the foe during combat. And then if her res is higher than the foe's res, she also reduces damage from attacks and area effects special. So she has Dragon Wall basically built into this weapon, which is really good. And also, if the unit's res is greater than or equal to the foe's res +5, foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So there's a lot of math in these weapons, so that's why I've taken a while to read the descriptions. There's a lot of math going on. But yeah, this weapon is pretty solid, and she's the demote, so she has extra stats in her weapon. She's got Dragon Wall, she's got damage reduction, and then also follow-up negation. So very, very good, and she's going to have high resistance, of course. I mean, regular Ilyana also had really high resistance, so of course this is going to be no exception. She comes with Glacies to just nuke. And then low attack res, which is really, really good on a demote unit, because I don't think we've ever had a low skill on a 4-star special character, so that's really cool. Attack res gap 3, which is okay. So we'll have to see which one is going to be available at 4-star, and my guess is probably going to be the gap skill, but regardless, you can pull for this a copy of Ilyana, get lucky, and because she is the 4-star special, and get low attack resistance fodder, so that's pretty good. But of course, the fans of her can +10 merge her, and she's going to be good. Very reminiscent of Young Lion last year, who was also a pretty good blue mage, and the fact she has damage reduction is pretty crazy. So that is Young Ilyana, very adorable. And then the star of the banner, of course, like I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, with the Fate comic, Young Ike and Mist. So very wholesome duo. I love sibling duos. As a person who's a big fan of Martha and Elise duo, this is adorable. And in the comic, it was pretty much foreshadowed, like I said, but also because I pretty much knew it was going to be Mist with Ike, because a lot of people were hoping it could be Ike and Soren, but I knew it was going to be Mist because she appears in the comic with Ike, and then also Katria and Erica also appeared in the comic, and they were part of the past 2 child duo, so it makes a lot of sense that Mist is here. And it's funny because he's voiced by Greg Chun, obviously, and he does not sound like a child. So it's really funny to hear Ike with this manly voice, like he just reached puberty at like 8 years old. But regardless, here he is, sword infantry units, and of course, this is like the 4th sword infantry version of Ike. And yeah, he's got a stacked kit. So sturdy war sword. So as you can see, there's a lot of math here, so I'm going to try to break this down as like I've been doing. So this gives him attack plus 3. I'm kind of surprised they didn't give him -1 cooldown, but I guess he doesn't really need it. So basically a 19 might weapon, and at the start of combat, if he's alive, basically grants +5 to everything during combat, and if unit's attack triggers his special, the following effects will occur based on the number of allies within 4 spaces of the unit. So let's say his allies, so if he has a greater than or equal to 1 ally, before the unit's first attack, he grants special cooldown count -X, and X equals 50% of unit's max special cooldown value, rounded down. So that's a very interesting effect right there, because I don't think we've seen that before in a weapon, which is pretty crazy. It's very specific, but it can work for sure. So let me just make sure I'm reading this right. So if units attack trigger special, the following effects will occur based on the number of allies within 4 spaces. So 4 spaces is a very lenient condition, and so he has to have his attack to trigger any kind of attack of his to trigger the special, and if he has allies within 4 spaces before his first attack, he can get -1, or not -1, but any kind of special cooldown count depending on his maximum special cooldown count value rounded down. So yeah, very kind of complex effect, honestly. Maybe I'm blowing it up, maybe I'm just stupid, but that's a lot of conditions for there. And then if he has greater than or equal to 2 allies within 4 spaces, reduces damage from foes first attack by X, X equaling unit's max special cooldown, of course, again times 10. So I think, so let's say, so he has Radiant Ether, right? So Radiant Ether times 10 would be 40%. So he would reduce the foe's first attack by 40% if his Radiant Ether is, if his Radiant Ether is 4. So yeah, 40%. That, if I'm doing the math right there, I think so, because it's max special cooldown count. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it would be. And then if it's greater than or equal to 3 allies, he gets the no follow-up effect. So this weapon, I guess I understand why they didn't give him -1 cooldown, because they want to have the math calculation in his weapon has based off his cooldown count. So giving him -1 cooldown would actually reduce the amount of damage reduction he would get in that second part. So I guess it makes sense, right? If I'm reading that correctly. So yeah, that's why I didn't give him -1 cooldown. So that is a really insane weapon. Damage reduction, cooldown count, possibility to reduce his cooldown count, and then no follow-up. So no joke for sure. And he comes with a Radiant Ether, of course, a Distant Dart, which is the speed counterpart of Distant Stance. It's not necessarily better than Distant Pressure. I know a lot of people might look at this and say Distant Pressure is worse, but Distant Pressure works in both phases, although there are more units, I think, that can use Distant Dart more effectively than Distant Pressure. Because in my opinion, Brave Mart's pretty much the best user of Distant Pressure. But anyways, that is his A skill. Nice A skill for sure. No C Disrupt, and then Joint Drive Attack. So yeah, based on his kit, you don't really want to reduce his cooldown too much. I mean, I guess he does get it in the first part, but you want to keep his maximum cooldown like kind of high. Because if you run Times Pulse, then his damage reduction won't be high, right? As high, because it's times 10. So if, for example, if you give him Times Pulse, then it'll be 3, then it would only be 30%. Instead of 40%, right? I think I'm doing that. Yeah, I think I'm doing the math right there. So I could be wrong. I'm sorry if I'm doing this wrong, but that's my guess of why they didn't give him Times Pulse or like -1 cooldown weapon. But regardless, it's a very interesting weapon for sure, and it's very, very good. So, because like generally speaking, I would always take a -1 cooldown effect over the +3 attack or +3 stat passive. But in this case, Ike doesn't really need it because his weapon has a very unique effect with that damage reduction. So that is Young, Ike, and Mist. Definitely going to be one of the better Sword Infantry units for sure, because I mean, anytime a Sword Infantry unit comes out, there's a lot of competition. So we'll have to see how he fares, just like Mia does. He's sharing colors with Mia. So Ike fans, you're going to have to probably pull a lot of Mias if you have a lot of orders for this. But here he is. They're adorable as always. And yeah, so let's go over his duo skill. Inflicts attack speed -7 and guard on the foes within 5 rows and 5 columns, centered on units through the next action, and inflicts special cooldown count +2 on those foes. That's actually crazy. So he gives them guard. So not only, so you thought your specials were done, nah son, you can also stop them. He basically gets Pulse Smoke 4, basically right there, right? Special cooldown count +2 on those foes. That's pretty good, especially in like summer duels where everybody's running pre-charged specials, like pre-charged Yuris and stuff. So this can be really clutch for sure. So very, very good dual skill. And yeah, so that is everybody on the banner. So there's Grail and Titania. That's adorable. I really do wish we got a young Titania, but I guess they wanted to stick it with the absolute babies. But yeah, big W for Tellius fans. So we've had Arcanea babies, Magville babies, and now Tellius babies. So be interesting to see if they continue this, what kind of baby units we'll get next year. And I like the name Unlikely Friends for this paralog because they are really unlikely, because the Grail Mercenaries is a band of very interesting characters. And speaking of interesting characters, we have Boyd finally in the game. Boyd, a character that a lot of people have been wanting for a long time, and he's the free unit. He's an axe infantry, as far as I can tell. So I have a few friends that love him, so I'm happy for them that he's finally in the game. And you know, the past 2 years on the Child's banners, we've had really good free units. Young Inez last year and Young Minerva, who are both really good. So hoping Boyd here keeps up the trend as a really good free unit. Hopefully he has a PRF. That weapon definitely, I don't think I recognize that sprite on that weapon. I could be wrong. I don't think that's an inheritable axe we've seen. So hopefully he's got a good PRF. And if he does, he's going to be a popular merge project for sure. So yeah, that is pretty much the Tellius baby banner. So let me know what you guys think down below if you do comment. Again, Ilyana is the 4-star focus, so she's going to be nice for sure as a green mage. And everybody here is infantry, and Ike is sharing colors with Mia, so that might be annoying for all the for all the Ike enthusiasts. I can't even talk now. To try to merge him up, but we're gonna definitely see him a lot, and I think that dual skill is gonna be really good in summer duels especially, for sure. So yeah, that is the Tellius banner. I can skip this, but I'm really happy for all my Tellius friends, and I've always liked Tellius, so happy for those. Not like all my Tellius friends, they're going through all this excitement. They're feeling exactly what I felt 2 years ago when the Arcanea baby banner dropped. So happy for you guys. It's a lot of fun. The baby banners, I know, like I said earlier, not a lot of people are the biggest fan of it, but I think it's adorable, even though the joke is it doesn't really make any sense that the babies are this strong compared to the older versions, but that's just how it is. I just say in my opinion, just have fun with it, man. Don't let that stuff bother you. At the end of the day, you're playing this game for your favorites. Who cares who's older and whatnot? I used to be like annoyed when I first played FEH. I was like that, but now I've learned to kind of stop letting those little things bother me. They don't really matter at the end of the day, That's just my take. But yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Listen to me ramble as always. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. And I appreciate all the support, guys. Please stay safe out there, and peace out.